Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Capital G here, and we're looking at Sen Triplets today. Powerhouse in our format, as per colors, black, blue, white, and 2. So just black, blue, white means we're getting a really powerful commander. Then you look at the stats. Legendary artifact creature, human wizard. 3/3, At the beginning of your upkeep, this is what matters. You choose an opponent. That player cannot cast spells or activate abilities. They play with their hand revealed, and you may play lands and cast spells from that player's hand. So yeah, huge powerhouse in our format. Is this a powerhouse deck? No, but there's a lot of individually powerful cards that I hope will gel together. The deck is not going to be as focused as it could be because the challenge I gave for myself on this one, double masters reprints only in this deck. That's right, Sen Triplets reprinted in double masters, so is every card in this deck. So, because of that, we don't necessarily have, say, the access to colored mana that we typically would. We don't have access to, say, talismans. We don't even have access to Prophetic Prism, which would be a pretty good fit here. We don't have access to, say, City of Brass, or lands I can tap for any color of mana. So, limiting ourselves to just double masters does still give us a very strong deck, and a deck with a very high ceiling. But it is a little harder to pull off the magic, shall we say, than it would be if we were to open it up to all sets. But it was a fun little deck building challenge, so let's see how it came together. Starting with a little cantrip here, the Chromatic Star. This is one of the rare ways for us to produce off-colored mana. It only does it once, but it draws us a card when it does so. We do have a couple of Moxes in this set, so that'll help us. Let's start with the Chrome Mox. We have to exile a non-artifact, non-land card from our hand. But doing so lets us tap the Chrome Mox for any of our colors of mana that we exile on it. Cranial Plating is here. Great way to make one of our creatures swole and attack. Swole is definitely my term now. Huge, especially with like 22 artifacts already, and you have a handful of artifact creatures as well. Culling Dice is here, gives us a sacrifice outlet, and also gives us a chance to draw some cards. Not a lot of card draw in this build, as it turns out, but got a little bit here and there, try and help us out, at least get to our initial 5 mana, and then we count on our opponent's hands for the rest. Everflowing Chalice, a great way to ramp. Kick this as many times as you can, and make this a big old mana rock. Executioner's Capsule, great way to destroy a non-black creature, so 1 black to cast, a black and a generic to activate. Expedition Map is here to help us pull out lands that we need as we need it. Hammer of Nazan gives us a great way to protect our commander, make them indestructible. Ichor Wellspring, one of those little artifacts, can help us draw cards. Lightning Greaves. Enchanted creature has haste and shroud. Of course, we're going to play this. Especially if we can protect our commander with it, especially if we cast a big creature from one of our opponent's hands, we can give that haste and swing in. Lux Cannon. This 4 mana do nothing artifact. Well, it's not do nothing, we have to charge it up, but once we have 3 charge counters on it, we can tap and remove all those charge counters to destroy target permanent. So yeah, destroy permanent every 4 turns, basically. But we have a way to speed that up a little bit. Mana Crypt is here. We printed in Double Masters and therefore totally eligible for this list. The Metal Spinner's Puzzle Knot. Nice way to draw us a couple of cards. Mishra's Bauble is basically a free card draw. Mox Opal. As long as we get 3 artifacts in play, this taps for 1 mana of any color. The Naginata. Figured I'd play this because our Sen Triplets just happens to have 3 power. And so we can actually turn our Sen Triplets into an attacker with this thing. Obviously we have other creatures with power 3 or greater we can attack with, but Even if we don't have them, we at least have our commander that we can swing with. Pentap Prism, this is a great little utility piece that lets us spend charge counters to produce mana of any color, even colors that are not native to the Sen Triplets. Sculpting Steel lets us copy any artifact on the battlefield. Sword of Feast and Famine. All of the enemy swords have been reprinted in the set. This is the only one we're playing with, though. The most powerful of the 5, of course. Forcing our opponents to discard cards, allow us to untap our lands and basically play again, of course. Sword of the Meek and Thopter Foundry are here. So we don't quite have ways of going infinite, because I don't have a way of producing infinite mana, but we can definitely make an army of 1/1s very, very easily with this combination. So how it works, of course, Sword of the Meek. It's we can ignore the equip stats. It's whenever a 1/1 creature enters the battlefield under your control, you can return Sword of the Meek from your graveyard to the battlefield, then attach it to the creature. Thopter Foundry says sacrifice a non-token artifact. Create a 1/1 blue Thopter artifact creature token with flying and regain a life. So it's basically pay 1 mana, sacrifice the sword, get a 1/1, the sword returns to play immediately. So, not running the Clark Clan Ironworks, not running any of the altars because they're not in this set. But if you go outside the set and you have one of those, then you're infinite. Lastly, we have the Welding Jar. Sacrifice it to regenerate target artifact and has no mana cost. Thought that was really cool. Moving on to our creatures, Arkham Daxon. It's a 2/2 for 4 mana, Human Artificer. Target artifact creature's controller sacrifices it. That player may search the library for a non-creature artifact card, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle their library. So we've got a couple of artifact creatures. Sack them, turn them into our non-creature artifacts, especially our combo pieces or our ways of protecting our commander. Auriok Salvagers. I thought this was a great card too, 4 for 4 mana, coming from the original Meriden, if I remember. It says white and 1, return target artifact card with converted mana cost 1 or less from our graveyard to our hand. So Chromatic Star is a good pick. If Onaganeta ever ends up in our graveyard, that's a good pick. Welding Jar, good pick. Avacyn, give our entire board indestructible. Great finisher as well. Baleful Strix, excellent blocker, draws us a card. Blightsteel Colossus, the finisher of finishers, of course. 11/11 trample, infect, indestructible. Core Tapper, I was talking about speeding up, putting charge counters on our permanents. Well, Core Tapper is what does that. This 2 mana 1/1 taps to put a charge counter on a target artifact. Or if we're in a bit of a hurry, we can sacrifice the Core Tapper and put 2 charge counters on an artifact at that speed. Disciple of the Vault. Now, if you have this out with the Sword of the Meek and Thopter Foundry pairing, this card was banned in Standard eventually, a little too late, back in the Meriden days. And it's a powerhouse. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may have target opponent lose 1 life. It doesn't even have to be your artifacts. So it's aristocrats for artifacts. Duplicant exiles an opponent's creature, adopts their power, toughness, and creature types. Esperzoa. This will let us return to our hand and replace some of our say Ichor Wellspring or some of our card draw sources. So why not? And if we really don't have anything else to return, we just keep the Esperzoa in our hand until we need it. Joris Familiar is here, reducing the cost of our historic spells by 1. The Leonin Anubis. Abunes, in fact. Abunes. 2/5. Great reprint from original Meriden. Brand new art, by the way. Artifacts you control have hexproof. Master Transmuter. Love Master Transmuter. Still run the card in one of my other decks. And is an excellent add here. 1 blue, return an artifact you control to its owner's hand. Put an artifact card from your hand onto the battlefield. One such artifact you want to put onto the battlefield? Mere Battlesphere. probably obsolete at this point in Commander. This 4/7 that gives us 4 1/1 mirror tokens. Used to be an excellent finisher, but as time has gone on, we see less and less of the battles here, but it's always impactful when it comes down. The Phyrexian Metamorph. Copy an artifact or creature on the battlefield. For essentially 3 mana, you're always playing that 2 life unless you really have nothing else to do with your mana. Riddlesmith, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may draw a card and discard a card. I'm assuming this was from one of the Return to Meriden sets, because I hadn't seen this card before this reprint, and it is really, really sweet. Sharum the Hejma, he brings back some memories. It is in fact a she. She was my first commander, in fact. So good to see her back here again, and fits right in with everything else we're doing. Also being a 5/5 flyer, that's great for turning sideways with. Spellskite. This is not the first time I've seen the card. I have seen the card once before in play, and it's a beast. Being able to pay 2 life to change target of a spell or ability to the Spellskite. Amazing. Sing Summoner lets you go get any artifact creature card from your library, put it in your hand. Stoneforge Mystic lets us get some of our key equipment. Again, reprinted in Double Master, so why not? Vidalcan Infuser. This little 1/4 comment says at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a charge counter on target artifact. Yes, please. Just 2 enchantments here. Land Tax, of course, another excellent reprint. Turn 1 Land Tax, turn 2 we have where our colors are fixed. And Oubliette. Definitely wanted to play Oubliette no matter what else, because this card, especially with the way it is worded now, is devastating. This is a way to shut out an opponent's commander, and in fact we have to be careful not to be hit with an Oubliette ourselves. So let's read that. Black 1. When this enters the battlefield, target creature phases out until Oubliette leaves the battlefield. Tap that creature as it phases in this way. So phase out means it's technically still on the board, but you can't do anything with it. It doesn't interact with anything. It's kind of off in its own space. And because it's not changing zones or anything like that, you hit your opponent's commander with an Oubliette. They better be playing some sort of enchantment removal, because they're not going to get the commander back otherwise. Instance, we have Cast Down to destroy a non-legendary creature. We have Costly Plunder as a sacrifice outlet, an artifact or creature to draw 2 cards. Crypt Swap, excellent piece of removal, exiles a creature. Yes, they get a 1/1 changeling. I like the deal. Cyclonic Rift, this was a big reprint in this set. Of course, I'm going to run it here. Force of Will, again, another huge reprint. Metallic Rebuke. We can use our artifacts to reduce the cost down to 1 blue mana if we so wanted to, and it's counter target spell unless its controller pays an extra 3. We play a tap out format. Metallic Rebuke will get the job done. Path to Exile, 1 mana removal spell, of course. Steel Sabotage. I thought this was an interesting little card here. Again, probably from New Phyrexia, or at least that era of cards, because I hadn't seen this before now. But 1 blue says counter target artifact spell or return target artifact to its owner's hand. Super flexible card. I love this. Thirst for Knowledge. Draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards or 1 artifact card. Valorous Stance. This one, I think, coming from Consultar Key, if I remember. Choose 1. Target creature gains indestructible until end of turn, or destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. So, kill something or save something. Again, excellent flexibility here. Or lands. Ash Barrens gets us a basic land, whichever one we need. Darksteel Citadel for the artifact synergies. Fetid Heath for running all of the filter lands. These are the only multicolor lands in the set, so we're going to run them all that we can. Glimmer Void, this was a great add. Gotta be careful though, because at the beginning of your end step, if you control no artifacts, you have to sacrifice this land. So you have to be careful, but you can play it and use it to cast an artifact and it will stay in play. Running 10 islands, 1 Maze of If, 1 Mythic Gate, 9 Plains, a Sunken Ruins, 9 Swamps, a Thespian Stage to copy a land. And that's it. So it's only actually 35 mana sources. This is very, very low, I do admit. So we have to be careful. But if you get the good start, you should be fine. Planeswalker, we're running Karn Liberated. Kinda have to. Target player exiles a card from their hand. We can exile a permanent. We're not going to use the -14. That's kind of mean. Sorcery is running our Given Restoration to return an artifact card from our graveyard to the battlefield. We've got a board wipe with Austere Command. We've got Beacon of Unrest to return an artifact or creature card from a graveyard onto our battlefield. Merciless Eviction is here to exile all permanents of a type. Remember the Fallen. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand and return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand for 3 mana. So this is essentially some pretty sweet card draw. 2 for 1. Reshape is here. Sacrifice an artifact, search for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less, put it onto the battlefield. Evoke Existence, exile that artifact or an enchantment. Toxic Deluge, some of the best removal. -X, the board, gets around indestructible. And that is our Sen Triplets build. Again, going Double Masters Tribal, quite the challenge. I do admit I could probably have done with more lands. Possibly dropped Karn, or even just another land should do the trick. But what do you think overall of this build? I think it's a great starting point. You can go from here, and then if you don't have all of these Double Masters cards, that's fine. Plug a few from other sets that you like and make this your own. And on that, that'll be it for today. 2 back-to-back videos, lots of work. So I'm going to disappear again and do some brewing and come back with some new decks. Although the next one is going to be an oldie and goodie. Next time, I will revisit the first deck I've ever posted on this channel, Shu Yan the Silent Tempest. Yeah, Angry One Punch Man is coming back with an updated list and an updated look. So we will see you all for that next time.